I was wondering who was that guy you were talking about there, but thanks for that. Well, some of you folks may have noticed that I'm wearing a shirt that says Environment Tobago. I don't know if you folks know of the organization, but it's actually been a sister or a daughter of this club. Long ago, about 25 years ago, the group that we had on Tobago was called the TNT Field Naturalist Tobago branch, and ET morphed from this club into its own organization. And another organization has morphed from ET, is SOS, Save Our Sea Turtles Tobago. So the energy and dynamic motivators of this club have moved some forces on Tobago. And we're at it there. Now, I'm going to talk about crows. Yeah, I really am interested in all aspects of natural history. And when I come down here to Tobago, I have a real hectic job back up north. And so here I get a chance to look around a little bit. I don't even have a chance to look around so much in my own backyard up in the U.S. But here I started to learn the birds better than I knew back home. I said, whoa, something's wrong with this picture. So I got involved in the bird clubs back home. Tonight we're going to talk mostly about birds on Tobago, and I could probably come up with other shows about other things, but we're going to go through a lot of business on Tobago birds. And what happened there? We're zooming in on Tobago. If I start to get boring, I can't see everybody's face back there, but you can throw something, hopefully something soft, and get my attention diverted to a different direction. I want to also great to see all kinds of friends here, old and new, and happy to do this presentation. Now, most of you folks are going to be all over Trinidad. There's lots of things to see. Birds and bugs and reptiles, and every kind of plant. But about 20 miles away, we have Tobago, the sister island, which is part of this country. And that's what I'm here to talk about. Some of my birding experiences on Tobago. Let's see now. Is this going to advance? Is that it? Right there. Okay. All right. I just wanted to talk a little bit about a friend of mine. Hans may know David Hardy, who wrote this tract, which I found pretty interesting as an explanation of some of the fauna, the bird fauna on Tobago. And that's as good as we could get as far as focus. Is that right, Chris? Because if it is, I can get away showing you all kinds of fuzzy pictures. But my pictures shouldn't be fuzzy. So if they are a little fuzzy, just take in effect that this is about the best we're going to get. In Hardy's tract, this was an obscure publication by the Maryland, U.S. Herpetological Society. But Hardy talked about why is Tobago flora and fauna different than Trinidad when they're so close? What's going on here? And some folks have actually been able to see that tract, and maybe I can help you out if you haven't seen it. Hardy's theory was that Trinidad was connected with Venezuela at one time, maybe not too long ago, so many tens of thousands of years, but Tobago itself was not connected with Trinidad, but connected about 350 miles southwest over into a place called, I think, Rio Grande, Venezuela. And over that same area in Venezuela, you have several of the same birds that you don't have on Trinidad. Hardy did some research on Tobago. He's been there lots of times, and every time he sent an expedition to Tobago, incidentally, Dave Hardy worked for the Smithsonian Museum in Washington. But every time they came to Tobago, they always discovered new species. They did one study in Crusoe's cave to see what kind of things they could find. They sifted the floor for bones, and they found the bones of the collared peccary. They found white-lipped peccary, once inhabited Tobago. They found the West Indian manatee had once inhabited Tobago. The red-brocked deer once roamed Tobago shores, all extirpated. Actually, back in time too, they found the evidence of glyptodont on Tobago, which is a prehistoric armadillo type critter. And once upon a time, they roamed there. Probably the advent of Amerindians had cleared most of these out before Europeans came. Let's look at a little bit of the diversity you'll see between the two islands. I'm not going to say I can guarantee these are hard numbers, but they're pretty close to what you're seeing on Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad right now, the bird numbers are coming from eBird, about 431 here, about 223, and about 22 are only found on Tobago. The bats, well, that comes from Jeffrey Gomes' book. Other mammals, butterflies, how are we doing on butterflies, Chris? Is that about right so far, or they could be off? More? Okay, Tobago is probably 123 just because it's so underexplored. The snakes, lizards, frogs, and toads, what do you think, Renoir? Are they pretty accurate? Somewhat in the ballpark? Okay, well, this is what we're looking at for diversity. You do have a lot more diversity here on Trinidad. These are some of the birds that Hardy highlighted that would be located 350 miles southwest in Venezuela that occur on Tobago and down in Rio Grande, Venezuela, that are not occurring on Trinidad. 11 of his most classic birds. This is from Hardy's book. Now, eBird comes along. This is a great thing because with eBird, you can do all kinds of birding statistics. And boy, I've been happy to have been associated with that because it keeps track of everything for me. Looking at eBird's numbers, here's some diversity from the region. Again, okay, these are bird numbers, bird species found. So kind of like how many species are you going to see in these places? I just picked some random places. Those numbers are, you know, maybe a little fuzzy, they may not be exact, but they're all in the ballpark. Look at Colombia, 1,700, wow. Okay, in Tobago, if you're birding, this is where you're going to see the birds according to eBird, the big hot spots. These are the numbers of species broken down, 10 most popular places to bird on Tobago and number of species seen. I wonder if I can pull that. Yeah, I can get that guy off of there. Okay. Anytime anybody has a question, I guess I can't really see all that well, but just shout out a question if you have questions. eBird on Tobago over the last year, though, has gone through some rocks, little rocky business because it used to be Tobago considered as one location. Now they split it, which makes trying to figure things out a little bit more tricky. But
where's the Coffee River nature?
Where is it?
Yeah.
It's in, it's as you're driving the north side road, you go through Mason Hall, Mariah, before you reach Castara. It's down in a valley there. It's not on the coast, it's inland. Incidentally, Coffee River has a very nice eco lodge to stay, and they have some good guides around there too. Very, very nice. Okay, I'm just going to go run through some of the local kind of birds that you'll see that are not necessarily in rare forests and things like that. We have you'll see a lot of these birds that are the same as Trinidad, like the barred ant shrike. This is a barred ant shrike male tending the nest. How about that? Males tending a nest. That's the brown-crested flycatcher. And we have, in fact, a lot of orange-winged parrots. I can't even grow a single Portugal around my property without these guys taking them out. The rufous-tailed jacamar. And the green-rumped parrotlet. The lovebirds. They look like they're in love. Banana quits abound. Jacobin. White-necked jacobin. Oh, peregrine falcon. Yeah. This guy is the Fuscus Flycatcher. White-tipped dove. Yes, we have the Caribbean martin. Lots of them that hang out near Pigeon Point. Sometimes, well, this last about a week and a half ago, I counted about 200 and something there. And you don't have those on Tobago. You have the gray-breasted martin here, which is their counterpart. Okay, copper. Potu. I don't have really any particular, or like taxonomic order or anything, but I'm just going to run through like different kind of habitats. So these are, this habitat is pretty much, could be a little rural, could be a little bushy, but it's not deep forest and it's not wetland. And a street flycatcher. So a lot of these I just see around my neighborhood or places. Oh, just had to throw that guy in. Thought it was nice. Polycrus. Hans, you call that a multicolored lizard? Is that a 24? No, the 24 hours different, isn't it? Okay, white-tailed nightjar. We don't have red-crowned woodpecker here, but we have them all over the place in Tobago. And another little copper rump. The cocoa wood creeper, copper rump. Eared dove. Yep. Cocoa wood creeper. If anybody has questions about something, just stop me because I'm just flying through a lot of pictures. Another BQ. Ruby Topaz Hummingbird. These are a couple of black-throated mango babies in the nest. Okay, Mr. Eared again. Ruddy ground. There's the red-crowned woodpecker. Scrub greenlet is a common, very common Tobago bird, but they're not common here. Rose, do you even have them here? No. Common bird on Tobago. Pale vented pigeon. This is up on the main ridge. That's about a week ago I took that. I like this color, so coloration. Now here's our great, we only have a few raptors, but this is the great black hawk being challenged by a kingbird. Does he look like he's perturbed? Looks like he's saying, yeah, give me your best shot. Potu again. Seems like we have a lot of potu on Tobago. And here's another great black. A corn bird, probably in my yard. Oh, interesting story. In all these birds and all animals, I think in general, they all have their own life history and their own issues and problems, just like we do. There's a thing about the giant cowbird here seen approaching the Orpandola nest. And I always thought cowbirds were kind of a bad thing, they parasite, they come in and stick their eggs in another nest, until I read a tract by a fellow named David Jansen, who did a study of these guys in Costa Rica, which I thought was pretty interesting. He found that a Orpandola, I think it was Montezuma's, don't think it was the same one we have, were being parasitized by giant cowbirds. And looking a little closer, he found that Orpandola's, the hanging nest by itself, was the Orpandola's nest in the nest. They found like blowflies coming in and laying eggs on the chicks. The flies would just consume the chicks, and the mother would do nothing about it, except if there happened to be cowbird chicks in there, which would pick the maggots off and eat them. So it seemed like there was some sort of a symbiotic relationship going on there in Costa Rica. I assume it's probably similar on TNT, on Tobago. Here's the cowbird sneaking into Orpandola's nest, caught in the act. We have our cocroco, the national bird. I have lots of them around me now, but they wake me up every morning by the hundreds. Our broad-winged hawk. So those are the two big raptors, the great black and the broad-winged on Tobago. Lapwings now are, I think, were first seen by Richard French, first reported in 1973. Now they are everywhere, everywhere. Caribbean martin once again. And here's a wet-looking, gnarly-looking potu. Looks like a wet cat. Doesn't look too happy. Okay, a Jacobin. caracara, yellow-headed caracara. And there he is picking away at the cow. Cow seems to be enjoying this. There he is again. Two brown-crested flycatchers going at it. Barn owl that I surprised one day came out in the open. The barn owl has two phases, white phase and brown phase. This is the brown phase. There he is looking at just the profile. You can see the disc of his face. Really awesome. It's an awesome bird. Look at all those speckles. Pretty awesome. Those were a couple of tanagers. Okay, barn swallows at Bonacord. And our eared doves are there. The gray kingbird, ruby throat, and a couple more lovebirds. We have a green kingfisher. People could call these out if you want to put into the punch. Shorebirds. Some of the shorebirds that I've encountered on Tobago. The royal tern. Down by Milford Bay is where I get a lot of these. The laughing gulls. They're just coming into their plumage now. And whenever I take pictures of these, I'm still looking for the Franklin's gull. Haven't seen them yet, but they've been seen there. We have the sandwich tern. Is the guy in the middle, black bill with the yellow tip, and they're both cayenne terns. This is cayenne sandwich. Cayenne is all yellow. So there's a comparison of the two. Brown pelican. He looks pretty satisfied with himself. And some of the royal terns off Charlottesville. And which guy is this now? Things are escaping me here. Age is creeping up. Will it? Right. Will it? Will it ever come to me? Sandwich tern again. And there's the pelican. Some black-bellied plovers. American plovers have been seen on Tobago, but not by me. I see these guys every year. There's a little tussle happening around when the fishermen are pulling their seine. Some ruddy turnstones, black-bellied plover, sanderling. We don't get the diversity of shorebirds that you'll get down in the mudflats in eastern Trinidad here, but you get a small amount there. And semi-palmated plover. There he is. Yeah. A mixture of on the fishing boats there. You'll see the sandwich terns hanging out with. There's a whole bunch of sandwich terns in this shot, hanging out with the gulls. What do we see in wetlands? How about there's lots of wetland birds we can check through. Osprey hangs out near wetlands. Purple gal. The purple gal. Very nice. Yeah, the green kingfisher again. I just saw this guy. Now, this is not something you're going to see on Tobago very often, but a black-necked stilt has been hanging around near Magdalena for about 2 months now. Purple gal and hingas down there. Blue-winged teal. Some of the... There's not too many open freshwater areas on Tobago. Not too many. Mostly around Magdalena, and there's some in between the Bonacord by the ponds, and behind the ponds there's some swamp areas with some open water. You can see there's a Caribbean coot, or American coot, sorry, in the background. This was a rarity a couple of years ago, a European widgeon. Okay, we're in Hingas. Having lunch. 2 coots, the American coot. The difference of Caribbean and American is what they call the shield that goes up on the head. So the Caribbean coot has a white shield going right up to the top of his head. Limpkins again will be in there, and Hingas. Willet. This is a little tussle with some ibises, glossy ibis, that were hanging out at Bonaccord a couple, probably 2 years ago. This guy seemed to like it in with the black-bellied whistling ducks. I think he thought he was a duck. That's Mrs. Widgeon, American widgeon. There was a couple, male and female widgeons hanging out there, which are pretty rare for TNT. The open water wetlands in Tobago get some waterfowl that Trinidad doesn't get. Like these guys are probably more commonly seen. This was this year too, the northern shoveler. Not too common to see again. Sora, along with a common gallinule, Sora rail. Oh, well, here's a guy smiling when I stepped through some reeds one day. Giving me a big smile. There's a couple of, this croc was up in one of the rivers that empties into the windward coast. Kokoi heron, not another, just a very uncommon one for Tobago, kokoi. It's another tall heron like the great blue, for folks that don't know. Least green, he's pretty common on open waters, whatever open fresh waters around. We have the yellow legs, greater and lesser. One greater and some lesser yellow legs. White-cheeked pintails. And this was blue-winged teal. Purple gallinule again peeking out. There's the American widgeon male. That's very rare. And probably have to hang around Tobago a long time before you'll see one of those. 25 years at least. Jacana. Oh, jacanas are pretty cool too. Did you know that it's the male that raises the family? The female, you ever hear of polyandry? That's, you've probably heard of, what is it, polygamy, where one man has a lot of wives. Well, polyandry is where the woman has a lot of husbands, and that's what happens with the jacana. And she goes around from guy to guy, has a clutch of eggs, and he raises them. Yeah, like P.T. Barnum said, sucker born every minute. Blue-winged teal. Here's a lineup of one of the walls at one of the ponds. We had, I think, we're looking at, can't see the top, but I think we're looking at a possible gray heron, great egret, black crowned night herons. Some of these lineups are kind of pretty interesting to see. Glossy Ibis struffling around the wetlands. Some lesser scout. There's another picture of the, it says the male European widgeon. There's the male American widgeon with some white-cheeked pintail. This is the duck there. What's his name? Joe. Huh? Masked duck. Yes, the masked duck. Yeah, he's pretty rare. He's been around Tobago this year, but I haven't seen him this year. I've seen him plenty other times. That's the male with a bright blue bill. And he looks like the northern counterpart. Up in the north, you'll see one called Ruddy Duck. Looks a lot like it. He does a display where he puffs up his throat and makes a groaning noise. And I happened to see that one day when I was here. When they're hiding in the reeds, which they usually do, the way to pick them out is look for the blue bill. When he's in breeding, his bill is bright blue. And there he is puffing out his neck. I believe, is that the neck shot? Doing his display right there. And he makes like a croaking sound. There's the missus sitting on a, looks more like a mound of dirt, but they were nesting in there. Okay, here's one of the lineup stops, bus stop lineup. We have, look at down the line. Well, a juvenile black crowned night heron, the great blue heron, Anhinga, gray heron, great egret, and some more Anhingas, all waiting for the bus. Kingfisher, green, this is the belted Kingfisher, belted. ring-necked duck. These are pretty rare to find. You have a hard time finding them here. White-cheeked pintail is not so hard to find. Neither is the yellow legs. This was a ringed kingfisher. I've only seen him twice on Tobago, once at Bonaccord and once in Speyside with Feroz. But ringed kingfisher does make an occasional appearance there too. Blue-winged teal. And the pictures, like I say, apologize, it'd be a little clearer, but well, you got the idea. Wilson snipe. Some were saying that maybe this could be South American snipe, but the best I can determine was Wilson's. A very secretive wetland bird. And the American coot, again. Ring-necked, is it? Snipe again. Oh, happen to come, when you come across a lot of stuff when you're out birding, you see all the different ecosystems. Happen to be a caiman on the nest we found here in lowlands. Blue-winged teal flock, green heron, and neotropic cormorant. Here we are again, gray heron versus the great egret. Green heron, yellow crowned knight, kokoi again, kokoi heron. I found this one at Richmond River, upriver. Great blue. Great blue again. This one, I just saw this color pattern was interesting. This was just probably 2 weeks ago near Bonaccord. Little egret. I actually saw one yesterday for the first time in a while. Little egret. There he is, little egret. Not so common. Great blue profile. This one looks to me like we're not supposed to have. We're supposed to have green heron on Tobago. Not supposed to have the striated, but looks like it to me. Striated. Okay, this is another big rarity. People would come across, I'm sure, if they knew the western reef heron was around. This was western reef heron. There's the profile, western reef heron. That's because he's native to Africa. He's not supposed to be here. Great blue again. Black crowned knight. Tricolored heron. Tricolored with a blue bill for breeding. Red eyes. Their eyes turn reddish and blue gets very... And then he grows this white tuft on his head during the breeding season. Here he gets, he's really getting wild. How's that guy, boy? He's really looking to pick up chicks like that. Look at that feather. Wow, that's really cool. Of course, we always have the cattle egret hanging out. Now, cattle egret can be really cool when they're breeding. Look at the beak, the bill, how they get. It looks like one of those flavor pops or something, rainbow pop that the kids get. Look at, there's a couple of them. Just an ordinary cattle egret can do that. It's like, wow, I have a lot better appreciation of cattle egrets after seeing them breeding. Okay, well, here's our, back to the ponds. I just like this picture because there's so many different species in one frame. The Wilson snipe, American widgeon, blue-winged teal, black-bellied whistling duck, and European widgeon, all in the same frame. You can get that at Bonaccord once in a while, once in a blue moon. A white-cheeked pintail again. Now I'm going to just say what kind of stuff we find in the mangroves over there. Mangroves are not that big on Tobago, and what mangroves were there, unfortunately, a lot of them are gone, and a lot of them are slated to be gone, a lot of what is left. So if you like to explore mangroves on Tobago, better get there while they're still around. The mangrove cuckoo, the prothonotary warbler, those are the two species we were looking for the other day. We got him, prothonotary. He's a hard bird to rustle up. Mangrove cuckoo, they have that striped tail just like the other cuckoos you'll have here. Yeah, mangrove cuckoo. There he is again. All right, this is a bird you're used to seeing, but not on Tobago. I found this guy in the Bonaccord swamp. And they do come to Tobago periodically. They're seen by Bucku Marsh and Bonaccord swamps occasionally. Bonaccord swamps, it's very difficult to penetrate, as well as the buckwheat mangroves, very difficult to get in there. Northern water thrush is very common in there a lot. Now I'll take you a quick tour of some of the rainforest birds on Tobago. This is typical scene up on the main ridge, not on any particular trail, but just off in the middle of Nowheresville. And the jacamars are aplenty up there. Does anybody know the difference of male and female rufous-tailed jacamar? The male has a white chin, all white. The female is got a rufous chin, similar in kingfishers. The female is has a colored chin and breast in the kingfishers. These guys have the male have a white chin. Red leg honey creeper. Yeah, they're kind of cool. They're a little different on Tobago than the ones you'll see here on Trinidad. Olivaceous wood creeper. The blueback mannequin. I have probably 1,000 pictures of blueback mannequins. I don't think any one is in perfect focus, but they're devils to get a photo of, devilish. And we have the collared trogon there. This is Mrs. Collared trogon. Olivaceous wood creeper again. And how about jacamar? Okay, I think I showed that. Here's Mr. Trogon. Look at these growing. One of his tail feathers is just coming out. And this white-throated spadebill. You get that one yet, Jerome? You got a spadebill yet? You got him? Okay, that's a real tough one to find. White-throated spadebill. Look at his bill. Is a wide, flat bill like a spade. Yeah, Mr. Mott, close up. Blueback mannequin, which we did finally see on our the Tobago trip. Elizabeth was the one who found one. There's another male trogon. These guys follow the mountain streams, green kingfisher up and down through the forest. Another trogon, another Mrs. Trogon, another blueback. Here's some more of the red-legged honey creepers. They love the immortelle flowers or the naranta flowers. They love those flowers, the nectar. This was taken at Cuffy River. Is it a flower I found up growing on a tree? I just liked it. I don't know what it is, but I just thought it was real nice. White-tailed saberwing. This was another one I found up near the Bloody Bay looking. Yeah. I don't know. Does anybody know what that would be? It's a passion flower, but it's pretty cool. Red-eyed vireo. They're just in now. They came in about first or second week in February. Now they're all over the place.
Before you continue, the flower you were showing, you looked at is a native or no? That's important. The flower is a passion fruit?
There's a passion. Yeah, but I don't know what kind. The colors, yeah, it was passion fruit, but the color, I don't know. Never. Yeah. Yellow-legged thrush. Honey creeper on the ranchers. This is a juvenile great black hawk. Red-rumped woodpecker. Venezuela flycatcher. 2 shots. Mr. Mott again. Okay, I believe that's brown crested. Yellow-legged thrush, once again. That's a forest bird usually found in high elevation. This one has a name that, if you're not a birder, you find really funny. The gray-throated leaf tosser. And I had a long time convincing a tourist from England that that's really the name. You wouldn't believe that a bird could have such a name. The 2 guys were lucking together. Mr. Olivaceous, look at the reddish tail on that. Olivaceous wood creeper. White-tailed saberwing again. Rufous hermit. Olive woodpecker. The hermit once again. We have 6 regular hummingbirds on Tobago, possibly 7. That's the olive woodpecker. And broad-winged hawk once again. And there, well, that was on the poster. That was the white-throated spadebill. Here's one that lots of birders from here like to find one day is, and the quality's not that good, but the striped owl, which you won't find on Trinidad. But, striped owl, I haven't seen one now in a couple of years, but I did see lots of them in the past. Striped owl. Maybe this is a rarity. Is that a zone-tail hawk? Not sure why that one's on. Couple of jacqueminards. Okay, just a quick look at some of the off the coasts of Tobago. This is Little Tobago. The space side is over here. On our boat trip, we went by Goat Island and landed in the middle of this little cove. You can see the white spot where the old caretaker's house is at. It was somewhere around 1909 that James Ingram owned the island, and he brought the first birds of paradise there. Birds of paradise lived there for quite a while. The populations never grew very big, but it got to be quite the attraction worldwide. Somewhere in the mid-1950s, National Geographic ran about a 20-page story about it. It was big stuff. James Ingram was a publisher from London, and later on, I think after he passed, I think it was his estate donated the island to the country to be kept as a bird sanctuary. So, birds of paradise are gone, but just a little closer look. We were just here, and we went over to the first lookout. Oh, up on here. Other lookout was up this side. Lookout 1 and 2. This was the bird of paradise, and I'm going to say all the photos, except for the maps and stuff I took, but I'm not going to take credit for this because I didn't go to New Guinea. You have to go back to New Guinea to see these. This is what used to be out there. I'm doing this display on Little Tobago. And that's why it was such a popular thing. Now, all these birds are still on TT's currency. So my position is either bring the bird back or take it off the currency. I don't want to bring them.
Which bird of paradise is this?
What is it?
Which bird of paradise is this?
Greater bird of paradise.
Paradisia apoda?
Yeah, Paradisia apoda. These are some shots from New Guinea. But they once did roam Little Tobago. But what's there now? Lots of red-billed tropic birds with that long streaming tail. And David Attenborough fell in love with Little Tobago in one of his earlier series, The Trials of Life. And they have some scenes in there where the man-o-war birds are filling up to their name, man-o-war. The birds will the magnificent frigate is a robber bird that makes his living by stealing. They'll come right down and grab these birds by the tail, shake them. Sometimes they pull those tail feathers out until the bird gives up the fish. So you have to take about 100 pictures to get one good one. Now, did anybody get any good red-tailed tropic bird shots on Little Tobago? I'm not sure. I haven't seen them.
Using a thousand.
What's that?
Thousands per second speed.
No, this is, all the pictures I take, I'm going to disappoint those camera aficionados, but I'm just using a point and shoot Canon SX60. And sometimes you get lucky, I guess. Now, these birds are breeding on the ground. And this is a juvenile that has the yellow bill. This is kind of the xerophytic sort of terrain you have there, conditions with a young booby out there. Our Audubon shearwater on the island. The Audubon shearwaters come out at night to feed. Is there anybody here that remembers when you're young there was a cartoon called the Tasmanian Devil? Well, that's exactly what they sound like. They sound like the Tasmanian Devil. Just like that at night. Scaly-nape pigeon. We searched for, we did find a couple fleeting scaly-nape pigeons on Little Tobago. They're a bird that's more usually to the north of us, like St. Lucia and north, but they're here. A little bit of St. Giles. St. Giles is about a mile-long island. It's off of Charlottesville. Easiest way to approach there is to get a boat from Charlottesville and come around to St. Giles. St. Giles could be one of the most significant seabird nesting sites in the Caribbean. This is what it looks like here from the air. You'll pass London Bridge when on your way out. It's a domed rock as you go out to St. Giles. You can't land on St. Giles. It's prohibited for people to land on, although I know poachers do go there. But it's a bird sanctuary island donated to the government by the Turpin family from Charlottesville once upon a time. Some of the islands will go there, but I believe it's Darshan that came up with a number. He was suspecting that there could be as many as 2,500 breeding pair of the frigate birds there. And some of the counts that I've been doing lately, I think that number's low. The only other significant colony in the Caribbean, I believe, is in Barbuda, and that was really hammered by the hurricane last year. So I'm not sure how the population's doing there. Barbuda did tag some frigate birds, and I found some on Tobago that were tagged in Barbuda with photographs. But this is what the trees look like. It's just tremendous. There's got to be more than 5,000 birds. In fact, on eBird's backyard day, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I took a day just to count birds in my backyard and counted the frigates going by with a clicker. I had a hand clicker, click, 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 and I wasn't looking at the clicker. And I did it all day. My wife thought I'm really batty, so she's right. But at the end of the day, I had over 1,300. So, and they were all females and juveniles, no males. The males hang around the bays, I find. The females are always cruising by. I think the numbers are low I think there's got to be more than 2,500 breeding pair. And you'll also get the boobies there, the red-footed booby, hence the red foot. We have red-footed booby comes in 3 morphs, all brown with a white tail and a white one. 3 different morphs. This is just some of the cliffs onto St. Giles with some brown boobies. The type of vegetation you'll see, very difficult. Here's a frigate swooping something out of the water that was tossed in, probably a fish. They can swoop out of the water. And actually, there's a new Attenborough series that's really cool. I think it's called The Hunt. Has anybody seen that section where they film the flying fish underwater? Tuna are snapping them up, bang, bang, bang. And somehow the camera is going right along with the fish, and it jumps out, the camera comes out of the water as the fish fly. As soon as they pop out of the water, these frigates are picking them off. And they filmed that right off of St. Giles, that section there. How they did it, I have no idea. But they did it there. This is another picture. Here's a displaying male up there, male strutting his stuff. Look at another one up there, up in the cactuses. Some rarities on Tobago that I've come across. Albino copper-rumped hummingbird hung out at Adventure Farm for a little while. No, sorry, not albino, leucistic. There's a difference. Anybody know the difference? Leucistic is...
You want to tell us?
Yeah, albino is like lack of total pigment, where everything is all white, including the eyes are pink. Leucistic could be any combination of just not fully pigmented. Like it could be partial, like you may see a bird with white spots on it. It's not totally white, but just spots, or funny spots on birds, some with white, single white feathers. This one happened to be mostly all white, but it still doesn't have a pink eye. That's the variegated flycatcher. Chestnut-sided warbler. That's a rarity. Just happy to find that one. And there's record. So, how can you get involved if you want to follow up? Environment Tobago on Tobago is the main NGO that's doing environmental work. Save Our Sea Turtles. The research group Eric in Charlottesville, and of course our club here. So here's some good groups to be aligned with, especially for Tobago. And this is a saying that I like, and I'll let you read it. Something I like to live by. This fellow is a Senegalese conservationist from Senegal, Baba Douam. I don't know much else about him, but he had a great quote. And folks, that'd be the end of my presentation.